You ever open your mailbox and feel your stomach drop like maybe you just found a snake coiled up in there, except what's actually staring back at you is an envelope? That's exactly how this started. And let me tell you, if you ever get a $1 $750 bill for an HOA you've never even belonged to, you'll know what I mean, because that's how the war kicked off between me and the Eagle Oak Preserve folks. Now, I've seen weird in my life rot in floor joists, basements that ought to be condemned, one time even a nest of raccoons behind an old dumbwaiter. But nothing compared to the circus that landed in my mailbox that sticky gray Georgia afternoon. The sky felt like wet wool, my shirt glued to my back, and all I wanted was a cold drink after picking through a collapsing farmhouse all morning. Instead, I come home and find this envelope. Gold script on the return address office of the President Eagle Oak Preserve HOA. If you can hear the theme music from a horror movie, you're on the right track. I live beside Eagle Oak Preserve, not inside it. My 5 acres are right next to their cookie-cutter development, but I've always been outside their reach, or so I thought. Bought the place almost a decade ago at a county auction, restored it board by board. There was never any doubt about the boundary, believe me, I checked. So I open the letter, and what do I find? Quarterly due statement, $1, $750. They even break it down: perimeter security patrol, private road resurfacing, landscape maintenance. My landscaping is just wildflowers I let go until the bees are happy. But here's the kicker. They attach a map. Some satellite printout boundaries all marked up in angry red. And there's my land shaded in and labeled Zone 5A, Extended Community Benefit Region. Plus there's some patch of swamp next door, tagged Natural Drainage Easement, like I'd somehow agreed to manage a mosquito breeding ground I've never set foot on. At first I laughed. Like, really? Someone in their office must have gotten too excited with the highlighter. I called the number on the letter, figuring I'd clear it up in 5 minutes. Instead, I got Melanie, her voice like she's reading from a script. You're now in the Extended Community Benefit Region, Mr. Rivers. Our board voted last quarter. You benefit from our standards, so it's only fair you contribute. I tried not to lose it. I'm not in your HOA. Never have been. She offered to let me appeal at their next board meeting or speak to their president, Karen Travis. So I called Karen, and boy, that was an experience. Karen answered like she was born ready to fight. No mistake, Mr. Rivers. You are adjacent to our infrastructure. Your driveway uses our roads. You benefit from our security. You're eligible for assessment. I just about lost my mind. Eligible. You mean you're treating my land like an open wallet? She gives me that syrupy voice. Don't be dramatic. Most neighbors have happily agreed. I asked about that mysterious strip of land I supposedly co-manage. She says currently unclaimed, eligible for cooperative regional funding. So basically, because no one owns it, I'm supposed to pay for it. She ends with a threat. If you refuse to pay, we'll initiate formal collection actions. I hung up firm, not rude, but the gloves were off. I spent the next 2 hours digging through every deed, plat, and document I owned. Everything checked out. My property was totally separate, legally, officially, no connection. But this wasn't just a dumb billing mistake. This was a threat. So the next morning, I'm at the county records office, coffee in hand, folder under my arm. Mara, the clerk, gives me a knowing smile. Let me guess. HOA trouble, I said. How'd you know? She grinned. You wouldn't believe how many folks get surprise zone bills nowadays. I combed through the files. Then I see it, a document filed 10 months ago. Boundary clarification and cooperative overlay. My 5 acres shaded into their new zone along with a list of consenting owners. There's my name in handwriting I haven't used since high school. They'd forged my signature. My heart was pounding. 2 of my neighbors' parcel numbers were on there too. I texted them, neither had ever signed a thing. Now I was mad. I took photos, started a digital folder, and sent everything certified mail to the HOA, the county, the assessor. I am not a member. I have not signed or authorized any expansion. The map contains a forged signature. Cease all contact and remove me from your assessments. I even copied in the zoning board just to make sure nobody was getting their wires crossed. A couple days later, a guy named Brian Keller calls local surveyor. I'd asked him to do an independent review. We meet at a diner over eggs and bad coffee. He shows me my original plat, clear as day, my property never part of the HOA. But then he shows me the new corrected map. They overwrote the GIS layer and submitted it as a community agreement. That's not a correction. That's fraud. He'd checked the other names too. Some weren't even adjacent, and the digital timestamps didn't match the signatures. Back home, I dig into the mysterious natural drainage easement. On a hike with my friend Ben, I found an IRS seizure notice tacked to a stake overgrown, falling apart. The property had been seized for tax fraud, sitting untouched under federal lock. The HOA wanted me to pay to maintain a government swamp. The only maintenance going on was the IRS letting it rot. I emailed Brian to check if my land was even ecologically connected. He confirmed you're separated by forest elevation and a drainage ridge. No legal connection, no overlap. Anyone claiming joint use is lying. This wasn't an accident. They were charging me on purpose for land I didn't own, couldn't access, and that belonged to a ghost. So I sent a cease and desist. This time I copied the HOA board, zoning, the IRS property division, even a regional news editor just in case. Next, a black SUV pulls into my driveway. Woman in a gray suit steps out, heels crunching, hands me a manila envelope. Notice of intent to pursue collection under Community Infrastructure Agreement. Now the bill is over $3,000. New legalese implied benefit doctrine. I almost laughed out loud. You tell Karen if she wants a penny, she can dig it out of my septic field. The courier just smiled. That's when I called Jillian, a property lawyer who does not suffer HOA nonsense. She didn't blink, pulled up the HOA's filings, their zoning submissions, even their tax records. I emailed her everything: maps, forged signatures, fake expansion memos. By Monday, she'd filed a formal notice with enough legal bite to make the whole board squirm. She also filed a complaint with the county's Oversight Committee and Land Review Board, and for good measure copied the county prosecutor. Meanwhile, Brian Keller connected me with a retired mapping tech, Eli Watts. He handed me a flash drive with internal drafts, one clean version, one doctored. Karen paid me in cash to make a second version without any timestamps. Not about being noble, he said, just didn't like being lied to. I sent the evidence straight to Jillian. Her response: they're cooked. I wrote up my story, maps, invoices, everything, and sent it to the local paper. The next day, a reporter named Devin showed up, asked all the right questions, took pictures. The article ran "Private Land, Public Lies." My inbox blew up. Turns out at least 7 neighbors had gotten similar fake bills. Some had paid, most hadn't, but nobody had fought back until now. The HOA tried to spin it, called my claims inflammatory. The county launched a formal investigation into 10 properties for illegal annexation. Jillian was giddy. They're bleeding Dan, and we're just getting started. Then I woke up to a metal sign bolted to my gate. Notice of non-compliant property subject to assessment fines. I called Jillian. She told me to leave it. Photograph it, send timestamped video. It's intimidation and trespassing, she said. We filed for an injunction. I also reached out to the other landowners. Bethany, a widow down the road, found a similar sign zip-tied to her mailbox. Martin had flyers jammed under his windshield wipers. It wasn't just mismanagement, it was harassment. In court, Jillian destroyed them: timeline, forged documents, the sign postings, trespassing footage. Karen's lawyer mumbled about community benefit. The judge's eyebrow nearly hit the ceiling. He granted the injunction. HOA was barred from contacting us, levying fees, posting signs, or altering boundaries until further review. Karen walked out, lips pressed tight. For 2 weeks it was peaceful, no letters, no signs, no drive-bys. But rotten wood doesn't creak when it's soaked. It snaps. And sure enough, Eagle Oak filed a petition to annex all adjacent parcels, retroactively claiming we'd all agreed. No signatures, just more lies. Jillian paced my living room, furious. They're trying to launder the fraud through policy. They're playing the long game now. I dug into their financial reports, found a special reserve fund of $42,000 supposedly for community outreach and expansion. Turns out the money went into a separate LLC, Overreach Services, run by Karen herself. Jillian filed a second complaint, this time with the district attorney's white-collar crimes division. We even got a board member, Trent, to flip. He handed over emails, meeting recordings, internal vote logs. In one, Karen said, "Redraw the map." Claim it was always that way. Nobody checks these things. We had method, motive, money trail, and a confession. Then Karen tried to hire a fake county inspector to trespass and create a new dispute. We caught him on camera, traced the truck rented under Overreach Services. She was desperate. Out of nowhere, the owner of the seized swamp land, Joe Winsley, called me. Karen offered him 10 grand to sign a fake agreement saying we shared a boundary. He refused, and Jillian got his statement notarized and timestamped. Days later, the grand jury subpoena landed: conspiracy, fraud, financial misappropriation, wire fraud. The HOA office got raided. Karen's mugshot made the local news, her lips twisted in mid-complaint. The jury only needed to hear that audio of her admitting the scam. She got 12 years in state prison, minimum 8 before parole. The other board members got lighter sentences for cooperating. The HOA was dissolved. The court found almost $200,000 in questionable spending. The residents were stunned. I sued for damages, won $245,000 plus costs. Bethany and Martin did too. But the real satisfaction wasn't the money. It was putting up a new sign at the end of my driveway. This land is not included just because you say it is. Folks still stop to take photos. I got invited to a community summit, gave a talk called Check the Map Twice. Standing ovation. Not bad, but honestly, the best part is being home working on my land and knowing the only dues I owe are to the soil under my boots. Let me ask you, if someone tried to rewrite your boundaries, redraw your life for their own gain, would you fight back or just pay up and hope it goes away? Drop a comment. Share your story. Where do you draw the line between standing your ground and letting the bullies win? I read every word. Maybe together we'll keep these community benefit empires in check.